Everyone thought he was just a cleaner, but no one knew that this unassuming guy was actually the CEO in disguise. When the truth came out, everyone in the office regretted how they treated the simple cleaner. Here's how it all went terribly wrong. Mr. Thompson, the CEO of Innovate Solutions, a rapidly growing technology company, was beginning to lose touch with reality. He made decisions in his gleaming corner office, relying on reports and feedback from middle management, but something felt off. The corporate culture, once vibrant and collaborative, seemed to have changed. Whispers about office politics, declining morale, and a growing sense of entitlement among some employees reached his ears. He realized that radical measures were needed. He wasn't going to rely on another employee survey or an expensive consultant. He needed to see the company from the inside, unfiltered. And then, a daring idea struck him. He would infiltrate the company as a cleaner. Mr. Thompson, the man who had built Innovate Solutions from the ground up, had always prided himself on his company, not only for its innovative products, but also for the unique atmosphere he had strived to create. From the very beginning, he had envisioned Innovate Solutions as a place where every employee, regardless of their position, felt like a valued and respected member of the team. He remembered those early days when the company was small, and he knew almost every employee by name, knew about their families and hobbies. In those times, there was an atmosphere of almost familial closeness and mutual support. But with the company's rapid growth, especially in recent years, something had changed. The number of employees had increased many times over, offices had expanded, and Mr. Thompson felt like he was losing touch with the soul of his company. He saw the growth figures. The financial indicators were impressive, but the qualitative indicators, especially those related to employee morale and satisfaction, began to worry him. Surveys conducted by the HR department showed a decrease in engagement and an increase in stress levels. But Mr. Thompson suspected that these surveys didn't paint the whole picture, that employees weren't always willing to openly express their true feelings, especially when it came to problems in their relationships with management. That's why he decided to resort to such an unusual and radical method, going undercover. The idea seemed crazy, even a bit comical, but at the same time exciting and full of potential. He imagined being able to see everything with his own eyes, hear the conversations behind his back, feel the atmosphere from below, without formalities and pretense. Preparing for Operation Cleaner took several days. Mr. Thompson contacted an old friend who owned a cleaning company, explained his idea, and asked for help. The friend, a little surprised but intrigued, agreed to provide him with a uniform, the necessary equipment, and a cover story. According to the cover story, Mr. Thompson, now Mike, was a new employee of the cleaning agency, recently moved to the city and looking for work. He was given a simple blue uniform, a badge with the name Mike, and brief instructions on the basics of cleaning office spaces. On his first day as Mike, Mr. Thompson was as nervous as a schoolboy before his first class. He arrived at the Innovate Solutions office early in the morning, before the workday began, and went through the service entrance, trying not to attract attention. He changed into the cleaner's uniform in a utility room, feeling a little awkward in the unfamiliar clothes. When he walked out into the hallway with a cleaning cart, he felt like a different person, almost invisible. The first few hours were spent on routine work, dusting, vacuuming carpets, emptying trash cans. People passed by, barely noticing him. They were absorbed in their own thoughts, their work tasks, their personal problems. Mike became a shadow, a ghost observing the life of the office. But gradually, as he performed his duties, he began to notice details that had escaped him before. When he was the CEO, he saw how carelessly employees treated common spaces. Break rooms were left with mountains of dirty dishes, overflowing trash cans, spilled coffee, and crumbs on the tables. Meeting rooms were in chaos after meetings. Scattered papers, empty bottles, scribbled whiteboards, and all this in the office of a technology company that positioned itself as modern and innovative. He also witnessed the attitude of employees towards the cleaners. It was indifferent at best, and dismissive, and even rude at worst. Some employees addressed him with demands, as if to a servant, without even bothering to look him in the eye or say, "Thank you." One day, He overheard a group of managers discussing the cleaners over lunch, calling them service staff and lower class. These words cut him like a knife. He had always believed that there was no place for class distinctions and snobbery in his company. Gradually, day after day, Mike accumulated more and more observations, more and more disappointments. He heard employees' conversations in the smoking room, in the elevator, in the cafeteria. The conversations were full of gossip, criticism of management, dissatisfaction with working conditions, and interpersonal conflicts. He learned about the existence of office cliques and factions, about intrigues and meanness. He saw how some employees openly mocked others, especially newcomers and those who didn't fit into the office standard. One incident particularly shocked Mr. Thompson. He was cleaning on the executive floor when he accidentally overheard a conversation in the break room. A group of top managers were laughing loudly, discussing how they had been pulling the wool over the CEO's eyes. They recounted how they had exaggerated the successes of their projects to get higher bonuses, and how they had shifted responsibility for failures onto their subordinates. They called Mr. Thompson out of touch and a clueless old man. That evening, Mr. Thompson couldn't sleep. He was filled with anger and disappointment. His company, the company he had built with such hard work and love, had turned into something he barely recognized. Toxicity permeated all levels of the organization, hidden behind a facade of corporate well-being. He realized he had to act, and act decisively. He could no longer turn a blind eye to what was happening. The next morning, Mr. Thompson arrived at the office not in a cleaner's uniform, but in his usual business suit. He called all employees to a company-wide meeting, scheduled to be held immediately. The entire company staff gathered in the assembly hall, buzzing with confusion. Mr. Thompson walked onto the stage. His usual welcoming smile was replaced by a stern, serious expression. He began to speak, but not about quarterly profits and market strategies, but about corporate culture, respect, and honesty. Then he recounted his week as Mike the Cleaner. Silence fell over the hall. Jaws dropped. Eyes widened in disbelief and horror. He described the mess, the rudeness, the gossip, the bullying, and finally, the conversation he had overheard on the executive floor. He paused, giving his words time to sink into the listeners' minds. Then he made an announcement. "From today," he declared, his voice echoing in the stunned silence, "all top managers involved in the conversation I overheard will be fired. In addition, everyone who has systematically demonstrated disrespectful or toxic behavior, as confirmed by reports and my personal observations this week, will also be terminated." Chaos erupted in the hall. Whispers turned into gasps, then into panicked muttering. Some employees looked shocked. Others openly wept, realizing the seriousness of their actions. The top managers who had been boasting so recently turned pale and broke out in a sweat. Mr. Thompson continued, "This is not punishment, but a reset. We are returning to the values on which this company was built: collaboration, respect, and honesty. We will rebuild our culture, starting today, and it will be a culture where everyone, from the CEO to the cleaner, is valued and respected." The aftermath was, as the clickbait intro suggested, in some ways disastrous. Several top managers were escorted out of the building by security. A number of employees were indeed fired. Chaos and confusion reigned in the office. But amidst this chaos, there was also a sense of relief. The air felt cleaner, the unspoken tension somewhat eased. Everyone in the office did regret how they had treated Mike the Cleaner, and by extension, all the service staff they had previously ignored. They realized, in a harsh but necessary way, that their actions had consequences, and that true leadership was not just about profits, but also about building a corporate culture that valued everyone. Mr. Thompson's radical step, although shocking at first, was the jolt that Innovate Solutions desperately needed to get back on track and restore a truly innovative and respectful workplace. And it all started with a CEO who dared to become invisible to truly see his company as it was, from the perspective of a simple cleaner. In the weeks and months that followed, Innovate Solutions underwent a period of transformation. The firings, although painful, proved to be necessary surgery. They cleansed the company of toxic elements and sent a clear signal to everyone else that the new leadership was serious about change. Mr. Thompson didn't stop at firings. He understood that simply removing the bad guys was not enough. It was necessary to create a new system of values and rules that would support a healthy corporate culture. He initiated a number of new programs and initiatives. First, a series of company-wide training sessions were conducted on the topics of respect, ethics, and effective communication. These trainings were mandatory for all employees, from entry-level specialists to top executives. As part of the training, employees discussed the importance of treating each other with respect, learned to recognize and prevent conflicts, and developed effective communication skills. Special attention was paid to the topic of invisible employees, cleaners, couriers, security guards, service personnel, and the importance of recognizing their contribution to the company's overall success. These trainings were not just lectures. Interactive sessions and role-playing games were organized, where employees could experience various situations and learn how to respond to them respectfully and constructively. For example, one of the role-playing games simulated a situation where a senior employee rudely and dismissively communicates with a cleaner, and participants had to suggest ways to resolve the conflict and improve the situation. Mr. Thompson personally attended some of these trainings, demonstrating his commitment to the new values and setting an example of respectful treatment of everyone. Second, a new feedback system was created. Mr. Thompson implemented regular anonymous employee surveys, but this time he personally ensured that the survey results didn't just gather dust on a shelf, but were used for real changes. Working groups were created, consisting of employees from different levels and departments, to analyze the problems identified in the surveys and develop concrete solutions. An open-door mechanism was also introduced, allowing any employee to directly contact management with suggestions, complaints, or ideas. These working groups became a platform for open dialogue between employees and management. They discussed not only problems but also proposed innovative solutions, which often came from the most unexpected sources, from employees who had previously felt unheard. The open-door mechanism was not just a formality. Mr. Thompson personally reviewed every appeal, even the most minor one, and took action to resolve problems or implement suggestions. This created a sense that every employee's opinion was truly important and valued. Third, the employee motivation and reward system was revised. The new system emphasized not only individual achievements, but also teamwork and contribution to the overall corporate culture. Bonuses were introduced for team projects, for taking initiative to improve the work environment, for helping colleagues, and for treating others with respect. If previously bonuses mainly depended on financial indicators and individual performance, now soft factors were also taken into account: contribution to teamwork, helping colleagues, taking initiative to improve the office environment, and of course, respectful treatment of others. Clear evaluation criteria for these soft factors were developed, which included feedback from colleagues, managers, and even subordinates. This encouraged employees not only to achieve individual goals, but also to create a positive and supportive work atmosphere. Mr. Thompson personally participated in all these changes. He held meetings with employees, listened to their opinions and suggestions, showing by his example that he sincerely wanted change. He often came down from his office and interacted with employees in their workplaces, in the cafeteria, in break rooms. He tried to remember the names of all employees, took an interest in their lives and work, showing that each of them was important to the company. He began to appear more often in different departments of the company, not only for formal meetings, but also for informal communication. He ate lunch in the general cafeteria, participated in corporate events, and even just walked around the office, greeting every employee by name. This broke down the barrier between management and ordinary employees and created an atmosphere of openness and accessibility. Gradually, step by step, Innovate solutions began to change. The atmosphere in the office became more positive and friendly. Employees became more open and communicative, gossiped less and collaborated more. Stress levels decreased, and engagement levels increased. The company once again became a place where people wanted to work, where they felt valued and respected. Even the physical space of the office changed. At the initiative of employees, cleanup days were organized, when everyone worked together to clean and improve the office premises. Break rooms and cafeterias became more comfortable and well-maintained. New zones for rest and informal communication appeared, where employees could relax and chat with each other in a relaxed atmosphere. The story of the CEO who became a cleaner became a legend at Innovate Solutions. It reminded everyone of the importance of respecting every person, regardless of their position, and that true leadership lies in creating a culture in which everyone can show their best qualities. Mr. Thompson proved that sometimes, to see the truth, you need to come down from the top and look at the world through the eyes of a simple cleaner. And this experience changed not only the company, but also himself, making him an even wiser and more humane leader. Moreover, this story went beyond Innovate Solutions and became known in business circles. Many companies became interested in Mr. Thompson's experience and began to adopt his methods for improving corporate culture. Mr. Thompson became a sought-after speaker at conferences and forums, where he shared his story and experience. Innovate Solutions, from a company with problems, transformed into a role model, a company with a strong corporate culture, an innovative approach to personnel management, and a high level of employee satisfaction. And it all started with a bold and unconventional step: a CEO who became an invisible cleaner for a week to truly see his company